The latest on Lane Kiffin. Will he stay? Will he go? Where will he go? Will he stay? How much will he make? A lot of things to unpack here. We'll take you the inside into Lane Kiffin and what he is thinking at this point. But first, I got a favor to ask. Please hit the subscribe button. Help us grow. I know a lot of you may watch this podcast, this video, but don't click the subscribe button. We just want to help to grow this so that we can continue to provide you football content. So please hit that subscribe button and share it with your friends. So Lane Kiffin I thought it would be good to kind of get into the mind of Lane, since he is the guy that's being brought up a lot in these coaching searches. Known Lane since, gosh, he was a youngster. His dad was very, very good to me. Monty and I were very close, and got to know Lane growing up and kind of see him mature and into what is a very good football coach, very brilliant offensive mind, no question about it. And I can remember having a conversation with another good friend, Nick Saban, when Nick was thinking about bringing Lane in to serve as a consultant. And, Nick was always looking for an edge, looking for things. And we talked about Lane. And he knew Lane from other people, and I directed him to a few other people that he could get more intel on. But my thoughts on Lane was, at the time, Nick wanted to spruce up the offense. He wanted to go. He was against no huddle and how the game of offense was going. But the ever-adaptable Nick Saban wanted to get somebody that was really good at working up tempo. So we talked about what made Lane so successful in teaching it, how it was quarterback friendly, how you can take guys and make it very simple reads. And anyway, it worked out, as you know, very well. Very tumultuous relationship, as Lane was very tempestuous, really learned a lot from Nick, but was always looking to kind of get his next opportunity. So now here we are. He's done a phenomenal job at Ole Miss in this different era. Different era because we've got playoffs that opens the door for many teams. And then we've got a commitment. And I think the biggest thing that has attracted Lane to Ole Miss as a football coach. Personally, his family loves it there. But the football part of it is they've done basically everything he's asked. They have put together an NIL collective that allows him to be very competitive in the transfer portal, in recruiting. And he's a very good recruiter. And he's a very good salesman. And he's very good at showing a player how he's going to fit and be utilized, particularly in the offense. But how he's good at selling defensive guys on, look, we're going to play with the lead, and you're going to get a chance to be an explosive playmaker, to rush the passer with the lead, make plays on the ball with a lead as a defensive back, so on and so forth. He's very good at it. I can tell you, and people have asked me, well, he's going to leave, he's this and that. Look, there's no question that he'll have opportunities. I do know that Florida, and let me explain a little bit about the coaching search process. We may do a special video just on this, but Lane is not focusing on his next move or any other school. He's focusing on the season because he knows how tempestuous people are and how fickle people are. That's why he's got an agent. Jimmy Sexton is fielding all that information. Much like has been in other cases, Jimmy Sexton is, looking at some frameworks, at least getting some framework of what Florida might be interested in, maybe what an LSU or anyone else might be interested in taking a look at it. And I can tell you that he and Lane may talk once a day if there's some new developments. If not, it may be a couple of days. They're in contact. And, there's at some point might be a situation where there's a sit down and a decision that he may want to make. I don't know that he gives a whole lot of thinking about it when he's doing his yoga or riding the exercise bike. I think he's focusing on third down package in the red zone against upcoming opponent. But I'm sure it does creep in it sometimes. I'm sure his family has asked about it. I know his son, his kids are at an impressionable age. His son loves playing ball in Oxford community. He's loving his school that he's at. His daughter is a little bit older, but still loves Oxford, and was probably the main reason why he backed off of the Auburn job in the last cycle that Auburn had a few years ago. Could this be different? You know, what I think people miss often is people throw names out, and people think that insiders, these reporters know this and that. These coaches are people. They have personal feelings and things. Now, long time ago, 3-4 years ago, before NIL and transfer portal and being able to pay players, you 100% of the time leave Ole Miss if you want and go to a Florida or an LSU if you want to win a national title. I think you can make the case that the door is open, not just with more teams in the playoffs, but with more people raising money in a collective. You can win at the highest level at more places than ever before. There's a couple of things I know when I've talked with Lane about the difference. At Ole Miss, he can go 9-3, 10-2, and stay there for a long time. Yeah, they expect to make the playoffs, and they hope to win a championship this year. If they don't, they're going to be happy in that realm. Now, eventually, they're going to want to advance a little bit further and further and further. But at Ole Miss, 10-2, 11-1 is a phenomenal year. Making the playoffs and maybe winning a game or two is a phenomenal year. At Florida, yeah, they'd be happy with that right now. At LSU, they'd be happy to rebound and have a playoff run next year. But at LSU and at Florida, you'll get fired if you don't win a national championship or you miss the playoffs 1 year. So is that something? I don't think Lane has any fear of expectations. He doesn't. And I think he has expectations at Ole Miss to win at the highest level. But there is something to the fact that you may have a year where things go bad. And where are you safer? At a place that's going to be maybe more appreciative to what you've done, or a place that wants immediate results now? Look, Dan Mullen won a lot of games at Florida. He wasn't the answer, didn't recruit well enough, wasn't leading the program to where they wanted. He's gone. Brian Kelly, look, Ed Orgeron won a national championship. Les Miles won a national championship. But the program had slipped to that and wasn't doing it in a repeated sense. They're gone. Brian Kelly, not even as good in 3 years. Not able to get them to that level. Gone. So I think there's something to think about. Now, what does that mean? What does he prefer? High pressure with maybe a better chance to win a championship, or maybe a place that's his, that he's built? This is the best they've had since Johnny Vaught, and quite frankly, maybe even better. I do think that he will get some opportunities that will be laid out to Jimmy, and he'll sit down with Jimmy and express what he wants to do at the proper time. But when is that time? I think the focus is going to be towards the playoffs. I think somebody's going to have to get word that Lane is still interested before, and maybe allow him to go through the playoffs, or else I think that people are going to jump off of it. I think that he is going to make the playoffs and possibly have a deep run. So how long you're willing to wait is going to be the answer and the key. And we don't have that because we don't know the end result. I've had people, talk to me about, and I will say this, that I think one day coaching in the NFL might be something he wants to do. But I don't get the sense that he wants to do that now. I think he wants to win a national title, and maybe cement himself there. And then if the right NFL opportunity comes down the road, he might consider it. I think his strength is recruiting, an offensive background. But I'm very curious to see if he gets tired of the modern age or if he just really continues to be motivated down the road. That, to me, is a down-the-road discussion. But Lane is, I will say this, in the age of people getting and signing their extensions, Keith Carter's been working on something for some time with Lane. Why hasn't he signed it? We've seen Kurt Cignetti, in a midst of a playoff run, sign a new deal at Indiana. Matt Rule signed an extension 2 more years at Nebraska. Got to be a reason why Lane hasn't signed a new deal at Ole Miss. Are they still working out the details? Is Jimmy still going back for more and more? Not necessarily just more salary for him, but more for staff, more infrastructure. That's what Jimmy Sexton's job is. Is that what's going on? Or does Lane want to put that off until the end of the season? All questions that only Lane can answer. No one knows. I mean, sure, everyone will have their theories, just guessing. I know him, spoken with him, know his agent, deal in this all the time, and I can tell you this is kind of how the process works. I think looking at multiple offers and weighing it up against staying at Ole Miss is what he ultimately is going to have to decide. I can't say definitively what it's going to be. If I had to get a sense, I would think that he probably is going to be leaning towards staying at Ole Miss. I felt that all along, but I don't know that. He hasn't told me that, and he's not going to tell me that. He shouldn't. He'd be a fool to do something like that, to say it out there publicly, until it's time to do it. And that time is going to be where he's willing to look over that offer and re-up with Ole Miss. So we'll keep you posted as we learn more about where he might be, and obviously connected all these coaching searches. Appreciate you joining us. Remember to hit that subscribe button.